Saint Ioasaph was born in the year 1888 in the country of Russia. He was the son of a village priest. His mother died when he was only 6 years old. Even from a young age, the church was at the center of Saint Ioasaph's life. During his childhood in Russia, he was surrounded by monasteries, convents, wonder-working icons, hermits, and pilgrims. All of these things left a deep impression on the saint. Saint Ioasaph was inspired by the saints whom he viewed as his heroes. When no one was looking, he sometimes walked barefoot with his older brother on the freezing snow, an ascetic practice that he had read about in some of the lives of the saints. When he got older, he decided to continue his education at a seminary. After Saint Ioasaph graduated at the top of his class at the seminary, he entered the St. Petersburg Theological Academy on a full scholarship. The academy was where he met his mentor, Vladika Theophan, who was the confessor of Saint Alexandra, the Empress of Russia. Vladika Theophan was not only an expert on theology, but also was a great expert on the Jesus Prayer. Under Vladika Theophan's influence, Saint Ioasaph also started to pray the Jesus Prayer constantly.
Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner.
For the rest of Saint Ioasaph's life, people noted that he was always in a joyful state, as if experiencing the joy of Pascha all year round. Saint Ioasaph enjoyed reading the works of the Holy Fathers immensely, and learned a great deal from the saints' advice and their instructions. Saint John Chrysostom was one of Saint Ioasaph's heroes. Saint Ioasaph's graduating thesis was entitled Saint John Chrysostom on Monasticism. And on the feast day of Saint John Chrysostom, Saint Ioasaph was tonsured a monk and was given the name Ioasaph after Saint Ioasaph of Belgorod. Saint Ioasaph was sent to teach in a seminary in northern Russia. However, soon after this, he was transferred back to where Vladika Theophan was and became a chaplain for the White Army during the Bolshevik Revolution. The revolution eventually forced the saint to leave his beloved homeland. After his departure, he was sent to Constantinople and Yugoslavia. He taught at various seminaries in Yugoslavia and left a lasting impression on his students. His students often were struck by the strictness of Saint Ioasaph's monastic life, as well as his simplicity and humility. The death of his mentor, Vladika Theophan, brought Saint Ioasaph much grief. On the night of the 40th day after Vladika Theophan's repose, Saint Ioasaph had a vision. He dreamt that he was standing in front of a majestic church. A multitude of bishops exited the church after the service. He recognized Saint Basil the Great, Saint Gregory the Theologian, Saint John Chrysostom, and many others. And among them, he saw Vladika Theophan. He ran towards him and asked where he had come from. Vladika Theophan told him that they had all just served liturgy together and invited Saint Ioasaph to come with them. And so, off they went. They sat in a vehicle that seemed to be floating in the air. They flew past hills, forests, beautiful valleys, breathtaking churches, and glorious monasteries. Vladika Theophan pointed to one monastery and said that that one would be saved, but the monastery down in the valley would be lost. Then they saw gorgeous gardens, and a wonderful fragrance filled the air. Saint Ioasaph marveled at the beauty of the garden and asked if all of it possibly could be photographed. Vladika Theophan appeared to be amused by this question and told him that he could try. Saint Ioasaph was a photographer, but decided that it wasn't an appropriate time to take pictures. For a long time they traveled in the air. Saint Ioasaph was overwhelmed by all the wondrous sights he saw. Finally, he asked Vladika Theophan where they were. Vladika told him that they were in heaven. Saint Ioasaph was overcome by a great sense of peace. And then he woke up. He smiled because he knew that his dear teacher was granted eternal blessedness. A friend of Saint Ioasaph who loved going on pilgrimages to holy sites was now living in the beautiful land of Canada. He wrote to Saint Ioasaph that a schism left no legitimate Orthodox clergy in Canada. The friend told the saint that Canada reminded him of their beloved homeland, Russia, in so many ways, and that the people of Canada were longing to hear the word of God. He asked Saint Ioasaph if he would like to come to Canada. When the saint read the letter, he immediately wanted to see this land for himself. Even though he was enthusiastic about this new missionary endeavor, he also was very much aware of the hardships that this journey would involve. In 1930, St. Ioasaph arrived in Montreal, Canada. Only 6 months later, he was made the Bishop of Montreal, and later was made the Bishop of Edmonton in Western Canada. St. Ioasaph came to Canada almost penniless. He didn't have a change of clothes and had to use pocket change for a ticket for the train because that's all that he had. The money that he used to live and travel came entirely from donations. At times when visiting his diocese, he would hardly have enough money to pay the fare to the next village parish. He used the money that he was given to expand his missions. When he had guests who visited him in the city of Edmonton, he would offer them sugar and bread because he had nothing else to give them. He lived in an earth basement under the church, now known as St. Vladimir's Russo-Greek Orthodox Church. St. Ioasaph was a man of many talents. He was a poet, an artist, and loved capturing the beauty of Canada's majestic mountains, forests, and prairies in photographs. He also loved fishing. A parishioner once saw a boat approaching his home. The boat had a big black sail. As it drew closer, he saw that St. Ioasaph was on the boat. The parishioner soon realized that the big black sail he had seen was St. Ioasaph's black robe. The saint didn't have a sail, so he had to use his robe. St. Ioasaph showed the parishioner the big walleye he had caught and invited him to come in the evening to enjoy his catch. There wasn't a corner of the province of Alberta that St. Ioasaph didn't journey to. Because he didn't have any helpers, St. Ioasaph would go to different missions and parishes on his own. He traveled by train, wagon, sleigh, and by car. Cars were getting more and more popular, but the saint lived during a time when roads and cars were poorly made and scarce in Canada. St. Ioasaph sometimes had to sleep on the road in a stuck vehicle, and even spent time in the ditch, waiting for sunrise to be rescued. Early in the morning, a local farmer would have to pull the car out with his horses. However, transportation problems and poor weather didn't stop the saint from traveling to conduct services for his flock. He would often have to walk over 4 miles from the train station while carrying all of the necessary church utensils for the liturgy. He would have 2 suitcases over his shoulders and 2 suitcases in his hands. The suitcases were so heavy that an ordinary person would give up after just the first mile. Needless to say, St. Ioasaph was incredibly strong. For the first 10 years of his ministry in Canada, he endured not only poverty and cold, but also much sorrow, thanks to the rivalry of various church jurisdictions who separated themselves from the one Holy Catholic Apostolic Orthodox Church. St. Ioasaph found himself very isolated. Nevertheless, after 10 years in Canada, the penniless yet cheerful bishop had overseen the establishment of a beautiful cathedral in Edmonton, 40 parishes, a monastery, and a skeet, which is now known as the Protection of the Holy Virgin Mary Convent. One summer in Canada, there was a drought that threatened the harvest. The clergy of a different jurisdiction conducted numerous special services, processions, and malabans to end the drought. But in vain. There was no rain. Some of St. Ioasaph's parishioners in the same region asked the saint to conduct a malaban on a field. He went into the field and started to pray. Then, a miracle occurred. A heavy rain came pouring down. Those praying barely made it back to the house of the farmer whose field the malaban was conducted on. After living in Canada for 20 years, and after recovering from a severe illness, St. Ioasaph was raised to the rank of archbishop and sent to Argentina. During his visitation of his diocese, which included Paraguay as well, he visited a sick woman who had been paralyzed in a hospital for a long time. She asked for his prayers, to which he had once agreed, but he asked her whether she had faith in God and his ability to heal her. After she said that she did, he prayed and gave his panagia to her to kiss. After she kissed his panagia, she was healed. Another time, the mother of a priest had a severe toothache, and St. Ioasaph came to visit her. As he was about to leave, he lightly tapped her jaw with his fist, right on the place of the aching teeth, and said,
"Oh, that's nothing. It'll go away."
And at once, the pain stopped. The people of Argentina grew to love their new bishop. He loved children and always had young people participate in reading, serving in the altar, and singing in the choir. He knew from experience that childhood service in the church binds one to the church for life. St. Ioasaph's frail health and the hot climate of Argentina, especially after the harsh Canadian winters, drained his last strength. In 1955, on the feast day of St. John Chrysostom, St. Ioasaph fell asleep in the Lord at the age of 67. His funeral in Buenos Aires was attended by hundreds of people who came to say goodbye to their beloved Archbishop. Even the Canadian ambassador was in attendance. The locals and Catholics with their children also came out of curiosity. Even though the people were very grieved that their beloved bishop was no longer with them physically in this earthly life, some of the Orthodox people in attendance said that the service felt like Pascha. They felt a strong sense of peace and joy at the service. St. Ioasaph was buried in a cemetery in Buenos Aires. One evening, the gardener and gatekeeper of the cemetery, who was an atheist, saw a light. He became very curious about this light and decided to investigate. When he drew closer, he saw that on the grave of St. Ioasaph, there was a heavenly light. At first he was frightened, but then thought that a dead man couldn't hurt him, so he decided to come closer to this mysterious light. He noted that it was impossible that the light was just a reflection from the vigil lamp on the grave, because the light was a completely different color. The light was blue, like the moonlight, and was enormous. The gardener later revealed this remarkable event to others.
An Armenian family often would bring their daughter to the cemetery where St. Ioasaph was buried. The daughter would always sit on the side of the granite slab of St. Ioasaph's grave, while her parents tended to their relative's grave nearby. However, her parents stopped bringing her with them for several weeks. One day, the daughter came to them and told them that an old man from the grave where she used to sit appeared to her in a dream, and was wondering why she hadn't visited him for a while, and told her that she should come again to see him. She asked her parents to bring her back to the cemetery. The little girl had a sore leg and had been limping. When the family arrived at the graveyard, the little girl sat down on the side of the granite slab as she always had done before. When she got up, she began walking without limping, and the pain in her leg never came back. The Armenian family told their Russian friends that they didn't know what a treasure they had had, how a wonderful saint had lived among them. In July 2024, services were held in St. Vladimir's Russo-Greek Orthodox Church to honor the sanctity of St. Ioasaph. He was an ascetic in modern times.
Even though St. Ioasaph's earthly life came to an end several decades ago, he is very much alive. He has appeared to both laity and clergy in white vestments throughout the years, and is a light to those who walk in darkness. From a very young age, St. Ioasaph understood the importance of growing in the faith and of putting Christ at the center of one's life. His childhood heroes were the saints, whom he modeled his life after, and he became a saint himself. He dedicated his life to others, and even though he was penniless in this life, he built up his treasures in heaven. Holy St. Ioasaph, the Enlightener of Canada and Argentina, pray to Christ for us.